I have 6 videos here that I'd like to share with you. They're involving all the checklists for your 5 essays and for your research paper, and they come at the end of each section of your textbook. So the first one is on page 25. So you've already done the beginning questions, you've done the further questions, you've thought a lot about your paper, you've tried a rough draft, you're ready to put this thing together and get a good grade on it. So let's go through the checklist. I always like to give you a checklist so you know what I'm thinking about, and we can be on the same wavelength when it comes to you writing your paper. So do you see the 8 items listed on page 25? So number 1, you have a clear thesis. Now this is your profile essay, which means you're doing a person, a place, or an activity, something you've been involved with. So you always want to have a good thesis. This paper is going to require you to say, okay, I want to talk about Yosemite. Well, fine, but what do you want to say about it? It was a big disappointment. It was the most magnificent place you've ever seen. It was a place where you're challenged to go beyond what you thought you were capable of physically because you went on a long hike. But you've got to have a thesis. So don't just have a bunch of information about the person, the place, or the activity. Make sure there's a thesis, a single point that you want to make about this person, place, or activity. Number 2, you've got to have, the key word in that number 2 is detailed. You need good, detailed information. So things like dialogue. Maybe you want to actually capture the sound and the way a person talked. Descriptions, lots and lots of good descriptions. The sights, the smells, the sound, the taste, the smells, whatever you want to do. Don't just say the mountains looked pretty. Don't just say the river was rushing. I mean, describe these things as well as you can. Maybe some examples, some good examples. Stories, you might put some stories in there as well. So number 2 is huge. You've got to have a lot of solid, good information. Number 3, why are you putting all this information? To make us see it, to make us understand it, to bring this topic, whatever it is, bring it to life so we can picture it in our heads. Number 4, you want to organize your information. So what do I mean about organization? Well, you want to have a thesis very early in the paper. What's your point? What do you want to say? And then you're going to have several body paragraphs. Lay them out in some kind of format. So if it's an activity, then you're probably going to lay it out according to time. If it's a person, I don't know. I don't know how you want to organize that. It could be chronology of a person's life, at least a part of their life. It might be 3 characteristics and you build up to the most important characteristic last. That's up to you. But make sure you have good topic sentences. Why is this paragraph here? What's it going to talk about? This person is the most organized person I know. Okay, there you go. There's a good topic sentence. Then you prove it by your details. Number 5. You need to consider the reader. So what do I mean by that? Well, look at my information. Enough background. Not everybody knows about Yosemite. Let us know about that. Where is it? How long does it take to get there? What are some of the things that are there? So you want some background. Maybe, like I said, a comparison to other things that the reader may know about. So you can say, this person is a lot like, and then you name a famous person that reminds you of the person that you want to talk about. You might want to do visual aids. I think visual aids could add a whole lot to this paper. If it's a place and you have some photos, put those in your paper. If it's a hike you took, maybe we need a little map of where you went on this hike. If it's a person, if you have a photo of the person, that would be great. So I am big on visual aids. Help yourself. Put visual aids in there. Number 6, correct grammar. This is early in the semester, but you're still responsible for things like splices and fused sentences and fragments. You want to get rid of those big 3. So if I've been telling you you've got a problem or you already know that you have a problem, iron those things out. You can go online, you can find a ton of good information. Just type in fixing splices or English fragments, something like that, and that'll get you to a website that'll show you how to correct those problems. I think I'm going to skip number 7. Style we're going to talk about later in the semester, so don't worry about that for now. And then number 8, dealing with a challenging topic. I think you'll be fine on that. Most people pick a person they know. That's great. That's challenging. How do you translate that into a good paper? Some papers have been on good places they've been to. That's challenging as well. So I'm not worried about number 8. You'll be fine on that. But if I was to pick out of these on page 25, what are the key things? I would say number 2. You've got to have a ton of information. You can't just skim past things. You can't just say, the person I want to talk about is a kind person. You've got to have stories. Let's see that person being kind. Let's hear the person saying kind things. So number 2 is huge. And then I would say number 1 as well, a thesis. Don't just say, I went on a trip. That's not a thesis. Don't just say, I know this guy down the street. That's not a thesis. Don't say, I participated in an event at our church. That's not a thesis. You've got to have a point that you want to make about the person or the activity or the place. So make sure you have that. So I think those 2 are the key things here. All right, well, I wish you well with the paper, and let's see how it goes.